Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I'm your host of the Trap or Die Podcast, Mual. In here with Dre. AJ, I think, is ready. I'll give him a little bit. He's backstage right now. What's up, Hulk? What's up, everybody that's checking in live? Appreciate y'all watching, listening. If you're on the audio side, of course. YouTubers, hey, bro, we hit that 3K. We hit that 3K subscribers, man. You know, I appreciate everybody who tapped in. The long-time watchers and supporters, and obviously the new people who've come around post 2024 season or post the start of the 2024 season, who's come along for what's been a great ride in this season, along with the rookie Jaden and Dan Quinn. Now, obviously, the Trap or Die family, man. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate y'all support. New people, if you're tapping in and haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Content's on the way. Film session. It's been a busy few weeks. I have been doing them more so on the Washington Commanders morning show. So they have still been around, but I'll have a dedicated film session, like edited video, coming out tomorrow. So we'll have that breaking down the Detroit Lions game on offense. What a show that them boys put on. Of course, the defense for Detroit is a little banged up, but I don't give a damn. Like Jaden was that guy. Cliff was that guy. And they showed their ass against the Detroit Lions. So film session tomorrow, breaking down the Washington offense and how they was able to get the dub over the Detroit Lions on that side of the ball. Audio side, of course, hit that follow button, hit that rating and review if you can. Free to do so. Takes 10 seconds to show your support that way. And we definitely appreciate all the listens and all that stuff over there. He says, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get AJ on. Dre, what's up, player? How you feeling, man?
Bro, I'm still riding this championship wave over here, Mual. Championship game, man. Like I said, I'm preparing all for this week. I'm consuming all the content. Like I said, I'm excited to watch the game this weekend. Not just excited to watch the game, but like I said, it's a family affair this weekend. Like, we haven't watched a big game like this together in 33 years. I mean, January 1992. So, man, I'm just excited, man. I'm just going to soak it all in this week, brother.
My bad. Y'all catch me with delays. I'm sipping on a little. I just got in from the gym. I'm sipping on my little protein smoothie, bro. I don't think I'm eating no dinner. So I got to get the protein how I can get it. What's up, AJ? How you feeling, bro?
Cooling, man. Feeling just like Dre. Excited for the possibility of, in 2 weeks, watching my childhood team in the Super Bowl.
Let's go.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I woke up Monday super excited, just super happy about our situation, man. And woke up Tuesday and realized that we ain't dreaming. This is reality. Like, we really talking about Washington being in a game where you're one step away from the Super Bowl. And honestly, bro, I love the situation that Washington is in. Of course, everybody does, but I love the situation that Washington is in because, Jaden, like, the further you just dig into, like, this season, bro, and you just think about so many different areas where, he stands out. Obviously, the support that he's gotten. There's this 2-minute clip that I'm gonna try to get some bump. That Dan Quinn said, I don't know the date of this. They didn't date it, but I would imagine this is before he was hired in Washington or around the time that he was hired. He outlined every single thing that you needed to run a successful team. And everything is coming to fruition at this point. It's incredible, bro. And I'm just happy, like, for the sake of why this. Nope, that's mine. Why this team is in the position that they're in. On the show today, we got actually a couple people coming on this week, but today we're going to do like a quick early Eagles preview with John Stolnis. John Stolnis is a buddy for SB Nation. I hop on his podcast from time to time, but he's an Eagles writer for Bleeding Green. And he does a Philly podcast as well. So we'll chop it up with John Stolnis towards the end of the show to get our early look into the Eagles side of things. And then we'll obviously do another Eagles preview on Thursday. JC, man. So look, I don't even know if I'm gonna consider this like a 2-minute drill situation. But JC in the chat, I feel like I think he following me on Twitter. Because what he brought up right there, Luvu being the dirtiest player in the league, bruh, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't remember the last time I got into an all day argument, debating back and forth with Eagles fans, bruh. And it wasn't even off the fact that I was serious. It's the fact that I really couldn't believe that this was a topic. And I caught myself just like, I'm over here like thinking that we can have conversations and it's impossible. It's impossible, bro. The Eagles fans have convinced themselves that Frankie Luvu, off of the hit against Jared Goff in the conference, in the divisional round on the block going into the end zone, and the hit on Jalen Hurts in the second Philly game, is that he's a super dirty player and the refs need to look out for him. And I lie to you not, bro. I'll ask you all because I don't think y'all been part of this conversation. So even if y'all are Skins fans, but it is what it is, right? I don't remember any time throughout this season that there's been any other controversial moments with Frankie Luvu outside of a person who shows 110% effort, who hustles until the whistle is blown, and he's a thumper, just like a couple people on this team. So like, where am I going wrong when I listen to something like that and people are convinced that he's like some dirty? I heard Vontaze Burfict this today. That's what I heard, bro. Now I know I'm entertaining some idiots. I know that, bro, but it was driving me crazy. I got to get that off my chest.
You know what's ironic about that is that Eagles fans are sounding soft as hell. The ones that are saying that are sounding soft as hell. This is the same team who I remember watching back in the day had Andre Waters, who was considered one of the dirtiest players of all time. You can still consider Andre Waters in that class, and Eagles fans love the guy. And then we watched every Frankie Luvu game this season, and not once, taking us out of the equation, we haven't heard an announcer say that Frankie Luvu is a dirty player. Frankie Luvu just plays hard. He plays violent. He plays football the legal way. They're still upset that Jalen Hurts got knocked out of the game, and there was no intent to hurt Jalen Hurts on that play. Frankie Luvu was coming from behind to make the tackle. Jalen Hurts wasn't making any slides. He had ran a few times in that game. He had no intentions on sliding at any point. He was running like he was a running back, and you tackle that guy like a running back. It almost kind of reminded me of when Baker Mayfield got pissed at Frankie Luvu on the sideline for that one tackle. And who was it doing our game? Was it Chris Collinsworth for them doing our game that night? They were like, no. They're taught that you have to tackle Baker Mayfield like a fullback, like a running back. Like there's nothing illegal about that tackle. Like
he ain't get fined. He ain't get flagged. Like.
No question.
This entire season, the only 2 penalties that he's had this entire season, first off, were at least 3 months ago, and they were pre-snap penalties. They were a neutral zone infraction and an offsides. So if he's some dirty player, you would imagine he'd got flagged throughout the entire season.
Right. Or other fan bases will be complaining about it. I haven't heard another fan base complain about it. We saw Detroit fans complain about the one hit on Jared Goff. But Jared Goff, he was still up trying to make a play, I guess, trying to make a tackle or save for the interception. Frankie Luvu coming through like a train. Hey, get out of the way. Sit down. You could have called, possibly, hit to the head area or whatever. But that doesn't change the outcome of what's probably going to happen. You're still on Detroit side of the football. But again, no one else is making this conversation conversation at this point that Frankie Luvu was a dirty player. It's just Eagles fans right now. And this is not the only preposterous or ridiculous thing they're saying right now. They're saying a lot of ridiculous things about Jaden Daniels right now. But to me, I welcome it. I accept it because this means they starting to hate us again. They're starting to fear us a little bit again. They know, I think a lot of this is false confidence that the Eagles are talking themselves into. So they're going to say a lot of wild things about our team over the next few weeks. And that's cool. That's what the rivalry is all about. So I'm welcoming it.
But that's the point that I actually, no, that was a point that I wanted to get to. Is I actually think that Eagles area fan base, community, even some reporters, like I think that they nervous, bro. And I think that they more nervous about Jaden than anything else because they saying what he's capable of. And like I feel like for Washington to have that ace in their back pocket, like where they can use it at any time, like it's an activator mode. You press a button, he lit up. And sometimes he like most times, most times he gonna go from the very beginning. He giving you a headache from the very beginning. And I think what's impressive is actually the same thing that Detroit. I mean, what's fun about this, not impressive, is the same thing that Detroit had last week. Is like the pressure's all on them. Is not on Washington. Of course, we want Washington to win. We're all in this, like from a fan base, from a community, the team itself. Like we are all in on Washington winning. We want them to win. There is no consolation prize. Like we're past that point, right? But the pressure is on them. Like they started at 4.5-point favorites, Dre. You know this. They shot up to 6 now. The total didn't risen or rose, whatever the word is. Like people are on Philly, bro. Philly is a heavy favorite, and Washington is from the betting angle in the public play. Washington's just happy to be in a conference championship game. I think that this is going to be one of those games, bro, where it's like I think we're in for a show, bro. This is like the 3rd time or 4th time in the last decade, the last 10 years. I'm sorry, 2025. I'm tripping. The last 13 years where it's been a conference title game where divisional opponents play each other. Like these things don't come by that often, bro. But every time they do, bro, it's fireworks. Like we're in for that. And I think Philly has no question has a right to be scared and nervous because if they mess this up with Saquon, bro, and the season that he's had, and if Jalen looks bad, given the controversy, like the infighting that they do every single week, that fan base does, and he doesn't look good enough on Sunday, bro. They about to be fighting each other for the next 7 months, bro.
And they're gonna be hating us.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Luvu thing, man, it's just folks is really upset that he got knocked out in the game. What was that week? Was that week 16? Week 16 when he knocked out Jalen Hurts. But I mean, shoot, if you're a quarterback, you throw an interception and you don't want to make a play on the ball, get the hell out the way. You feel me? If you end the play, you're going to get blocked. Like that's what you're taught. Like you're trying to get your man home to get 6. So I mean, I haven't really paid too much attention to the conversation overall that they've been having. I think that they're Delulu anyways. I just think that folks are on that side are just trying to harp on something because they know that their quarterback is banged up, still kind of recovering from a concussion. Now he got a knee injury. I mean, it's just like they don't really see a way that they can win. And they're trying to pick on something and create that narrative to just get under the Commanders' fan skin.
Hey, look, can I change gears a bit? This is not a burning question for me, but it's a burning conversation I want to have with you all.
2-minute warning, bro. Yeah, let's get into it, bro.
Let's do it. And this is a guy we're going to talk about anyway. I mean, it's Jaden Daniels. But this, being as though this week I'm consuming a lot of the content. I'm watching ESPN a lot for the first time in a long time, all of that stuff, whatever. But, I'm watching one of those shows. I don't remember which show this is. I just know that the panel is, I'm pretty sure you all probably heard this, but Damian Woody, Alex Smith, Dan Orlovsky, Louis Riddick, all of those guys are on the show. And Damian Woody had made the case that Jaden Daniels is playing the best football of all quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And Alex Smith and Dan Orlovsky tried to push back on this. And I'm like, no, Jaden Daniels is playing the best football right now of any quarterback left in the playoffs. Like, there's no conversation to be had about that. I mean, I don't even know how that's a debate at this point. Jaden Daniels right now, and through 2 games in the playoffs, he's leading all of the remaining quarterbacks in QBR by a lot. The only quarterback that was close to him was Lamar Jackson, who's no longer playing in the playoffs anymore. Then it will be Josh Allen after him, and then Patrick Mahomes, then Jalen Hurts last. Jaden Daniels leads in passing yards. He's leading in touchdowns through interception ratio. He had a convincing win over the number 1 seed. How is it even a conversation at this point that he's not playing the best quarterback in the playoffs? And this is why you feel good about going into this game against Philly or anybody you're playing at this point, because so far through the playoffs, he's been the best player on the field in both of the games he's played in. Do y'all agree that he is right now playing the best football in the playoffs?
I paused for a second to give AJ the first stab at it. Do you want to go or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. I seen that argument. Was it this morning?
No, it was yesterday.
Yesterday. I mean, I just think that the 2 guys, Dan and Alex Smith, they weren't on the same page of what the question truly was. But I mean, he's playing the best at that position currently. I mean, it's evident. Whether you want to look at the film or you just want to focus on numbers, he ranks up there in every single category in comparison to a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes.
He's leading
Lamar Jackson.
AJ.
So it's like it was pretty stupid and ignorant for that conversation to be taking place in the way that they were so adamant in their argument. But I mean, hey, they see it a different way. We know what the reality is. If he wasn't playing the best, Washington wouldn't even be in this opportunity to be in the conference championship game. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Like, he's playing with nobody. Respectfully, everyone has different opinions on Terry McLaurin, but at the end of the day, he's really not playing with a bunch of talent at that quarterback position surrounding him. And he has taken a team in his rookie year to the conference championship game. Like, I mean, it's kind of like that one gift with Tyrese. What more do you want from me? Like,
with the 18th ranked defense, AJ, that's a bottom half of the league defense.
Yeah, so it's just interesting in how they're debating these things, but I don't really give too much credence to these pundits anyways. They all got a job. They all meet in pre-meeting to know where they're gonna go with conversations. I just think it's just a scenario where it's like, hey man, Washington's in a position to get to the Super Bowl, and that's all that matters. They're a topic of the discussion. And we know that we got our franchise guy at quarterback. Whether they want to believe it or not, as far as being on that panel yesterday, Sunday at 6 p.m., they'll know what's up.
Yeah, I think he is number one. He has been the best quarterback. I think the most obvious way to measure it is the amount of the percentage of offense that is on his shoulders. Is kind of where I was going. Like, how much usage is how much offensive production he's responsible for. That's how I should say it. And you think about the remaining 4 teams, right? Josh Allen has an astounding run game. Like, they didn't do too much against the Baltimore Ravens, but they ran the ball well. And that's also impressive. That's not to take away from Josh. And I'm saying that because I got all 32 tonight and I got to get my talking points ready. But that's not taking away anything from Josh Allen, because that was the number 1 or top 2 rush defense that they did that against, right? But Josh Allen, he just had to make a few plays here and there because he had a defense who was making plays for him. He had the run game, and they handled business in terms of like creating turnovers, capitalizing on them, et cetera, et cetera. Patrick Mahomes, top 10 defense. I don't know exactly where they are statistically, but top 10 defense. Obviously, Pat Mahomes is who he is, but you got a run game that's supplementing you as well. You also had some very controversial penalties that helped extend some drives in your favor. And honestly, because it was a one-possession game at the end, who knows exactly where this game really would have wound up if Texans got some objective play refereeing or officiating in their favor. So who knows? They're here, so it is what it is. And then you look at Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley. That's all you got to say. And a top 10 defense, top 3 defense, excuse me. So that's all you really got to say for them. Now, granted, let's be objective here, I think, with Washington. AJ mentioned that he ain't playing with nobody. Or he ain't playing with that much talent. I think that was fair up until they went to the playoffs. And the reason why I say that now, and I've changed my stance, it's not that like he has super talent around him. I'm not suggesting that, right? But why I changed my tune is because we need to start giving the coaches credit for how they've been able to develop players to this point and put them in position to make plays. De'Ami Brown, let's go back to the obvious one here. 2 weeks in a row, he came up and he's been the leading receiver, I think, for both games. Damn near 100 yards against the Detroit Lions. On the show, Dre, I don't remember your answer. I think you actually asked the question, so I don't know if you answered it. But you asked the question, can he have a repeat performance like he had against Tampa in Detroit? And I gave my reasons why he will have a repeat performance. These are some people, like, when the moment comes around, some people just have their streaks. And it's either they're ready for the moment, but it's also the fact that, the preparation has finally come. Preparation has been, in the cooker this entire time. And that opportunity where they can, like, Noah Brown is gone now. You're talking about a person who's the de facto number 2, regardless of, and on top of that, he was injured a little bit. De'Ami was. He missed like a couple games towards the end of the season. So like now you're like, all right, you're back in here, but what can you do? He's like their secret weapon because he done took the top off the defense now, and he's making plays downfield. But I say that to say it's not just him. It's Dorrance Armstrong on defense, right? He's leading the league right now in sacks in the playoffs. He has 2.5 sacks, but he also is a person who forced the fumble and got the turnover thing started in Detroit, right? You're talking about Quan Martin, who is literally creating offense on defense. You're talking about Mike Sainristil, who is turning the ball over and giving Washington extra possessions, stealing possessions from the Detroit Lions, right? And you're talking about people on offense. Zach Ertz, bro. Like, if you watch his tape, bro, the dude was, bro, I think if he plays like he's been playing the first 2 games against Tampa Bay and Detroit, bro, like, this revenge game is going to be something stupid. Like, I'm not sitting here saying 8 catches for 200 yards because he too old for that. Like, he 45 years old. He ain't getting that much, bro. But he could get you like 6 for 90. Like, that's the type of game he's in for if he keeps cooking the way he has. So my point in bringing all of that up to kind of round about everything, Jaden has been the best quarterback of the last 4 in the playoffs because of the amount of usage and offensive production that's been placed on his shoulders, and he's been able to deliver time and time again. But there's players who have stepped up, and that's a lot to do with their willingness or readiness and competitiveness to seize the moment, but also a coaching staff who has for 18, 19, 20, for 20 weeks, 24 weeks if you include the preseason, who has been coaching and emphasizing coaching points to these players, putting these players in position to win and making sure that they are ready mentally, but also being on the field, being in a position to make the play and having that opportunity. And I think that's the difference. It's not like he ain't playing with no talent anymore. I think the talent the people that's around him step their game up just as much as Jaden has elevated his game in the postseason.
And Maul, I'm glad you brought that up. But kind of to go back to Jaden, with I think a lot of the hesitancy, especially from the Alex Smith types and the Dan Orlovsky types. Now, Dan Orlovsky has been very complimentary of Jaden. He even, goes back to the point of, I would have drafted Jaden number 1 back in February of last year. But I think a lot of the hesitancy comes with also the MVP talk, is that you're hesitant to kind of put the rookie up on this pedestal in a sense, or give the rookie this kind of accolades before you start talking about the Patrick Mahomes and the guys who've done it for so many years. And I really think that's it. But if Jaden wasn't a rookie, because I seen something that came out today that says, oh, Jaden's going to be an MVP candidate next year. He's an MVP candidate this year. But no one really wanted to kind of put him in that really top 2 talk with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, mainly because he's a rookie. But if you look at what he did before we even talk about the talent, and, as you mentioned, the guys that are stepping up in the playoffs, a lot of that wasn't there this season. A lot of this offense this year was Jaden Daniels. The system was Jaden Daniels. But now let's get to the playoffs where you're talking about Dyami Browns, which is back to the coaches and their development of what they're doing. And that's huge right now, because Dyami Brown, Dan Quinn, I listened to him the other day. Dan Quinn said, when we initially started with Dyami Brown, we were just mainly give him the ball and let him work with the ball in his hands. Now he's doing so much more later in the season. He's able to get the ball downfield. You're able to do so much more different with Dyami Brown. And it kind of goes back to the pre-draft talk with Dyami Brown. When we talked about Dyami Brown, and, AJ talked about this a lot, that the route tree was very limited. At North Carolina, Dyami Brown was a fly route type of guy. That's it. You didn't really run a lot of other stuff with Dyami Brown. But I remember, years and years ago when they used to say it takes receivers 3 years to kind of develop in the league. That kind of went out of the window when the Jamar Chases and the Justin Jefferson started coming into the league and they were making instant impact. So if your receiver wasn't making an instant impact, you kind of threw those guys to the side like, this guy's nothing. But I think Dyami is a testament to development in the NFL, and it still may be the case for some guys that it takes them a while to get going. Now, I don't know what this means for Dyami going forward. What is his ceiling? How do you talk about Dyami in the NFL? But the way we're talking about Dyami right now in the playoffs, this guy's a different player than what we've seen through, Dyami's career thus far up to this point. And that goes to the coach's development. That goes to what Cliff has kind of done with this guy. I mean, shout out to the wide receivers coach, getting these guys developed. Dyami has stepped up. And it's not just all Jaden at this point, but it is a lot of Jaden. Like, Jaden's making the right decisions. Jaden is very rarely seeing something wrong on the field at this point. I listened to Logan Paulson earlier today. Logan Paulson's like, this guy is so smart. Like, he knows coverages that he's seen before. He's identifying these coverages that he's seen before, and he knows how to play these coverages now. Even back to when Marcus Mariota was talking about a few weeks ago, he was like, man, they're throwing a lot of unscouted looks at Jaden Daniels, and a lot of times it takes him a while to get adjusted. But we're seeing in the playoffs, he seems like he's getting adjusted a lot earlier in these games. He's seeing stuff a lot earlier in these games. But again, I do think that a lot of the hesitancy comes from him just being a rookie, and people don't want to put him on a pedestal. The haters, when they talk about Jaden now, instead of talking about what Jaden's doing now or what he's capable of doing now they want to lump him into, oh, y'all did this with CJ Stroud last year. Please stop with that. These are two different quarterbacks, why is Jaden lumped with the CJ Stroud? Like, he's going to have this kind of downfall next season, but you want to lump these other quarterbacks, the other rookie quarterbacks that was drafted in this class. You want to say these guys are going to flourish and blossom next year, but Jaden's going to have this big fall off. As long as Jaden has the legs that he has and the ability to do what he does, he's always going to have this high floor. The ceiling we already know is really high at this point, but he also has this high floor because of what he can do with his legs. And I think it's just lazy to throw the CJ Stroud comps in there with him at this point.
Let's take a break. Let's hear from the good guys, ladies and gentlemen, over there at Underdog Fantasy. As you all know, Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going off and which ones are ice cold. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. With their pick'em game, you can win up to $1,000, 1,000 times your money just by, I wish it could be $1,000, just by choosing higher or lower on player stats such as passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and styles to choose from. Which player will rack up higher or lower than a favorite stat during the playoffs? I was thinking about this because Jaden Daniels, since we're talking about Washington, 2 straight games where he's had over 300 all-purpose yards, rushing and passing. I don't think that's changing no time soon. And I'm about to look up right now. Oh, they already got the game up. See, they know what time it is. I'm about to see where Jaden Daniels passing and rushing yards is at 284.5. There is no way I'm going lower than that. This is his game. Give me Jaden higher than 284.5. I'm taking it. No questions asked. There's other things up there too, like Saquon. He has 149.5 rushing and receiving yards, higher or lower. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going higher. Got to. Can't say no to that. Underdog is the only pick'em platform that puts power to cash in your hands. Now you can either ride with your entry or tap the win now button to cash out whenever you want. Every dog deserves a second chance as well. With Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. That is important because some platforms out there that will not be named in this promo, they don't give you jack-ish if a player gets hurt. And I real live experienced that in the wild card round with Tyler Higbee. I put a live play in, and the man got hurt 2 plays later, bro. I lost my money off rip. It ain't no voiding injuries. Understand that you get an Underdog Rescue if a player gets hurt in an early injury causes your entry to lose. Anyway, Underdog is the best place to play pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code TrapperDive, and deposit now to get to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code TrapperDive. You must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 years in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado for some games. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambler.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In a little bit, we do have, as I mentioned, John Stolnis. He is an Eagles writer for Bleeding Green, the SB Nation Philadelphia Eagles blog, and is a Philly podcast host of the Hidden Season for WHYY. He'll be joining us shortly. We'll get a quick preview on the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's the quote, or here's the thing that we can save this because it's a longer conversation. But did y'all hear this from Terry, bro? I'm about to play this for the show. This is from NFL Mic'd Up. Have y'all seen the clip lately? It came out an hour ago.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, this is perfect. Okay, here we go. I'm about to play this, bro. I did not know Terry had this in him. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. All right, present. All right, here we go.
Hey, we here. We the show. Hey, everything you got inside of you, you got everything you need to be successful. No reason to be fearful. No reason to have anxiety because everything you need is inside you. We live a great life. But listen here. When this money gone, when this fame gone, the only thing you really got is your name and your reputation.
Look at Marshawn, bro. He's so locked in.
What they gonna say about your reputation? What they gonna say when they turn that film on? I know what they gonna say about me. I'm gonna ride out. They gonna say we some dogs, man. Let's get it. Be who you say you are, man. 103. 1, 2, 3.
Be who you say you are, bro. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. Like hearing that and seeing that, like see him amped up like that, but like he's amped up to the point where, like, you know, he dead ass serious. Like he not playing no games, bro. And he went out there, housed a 58-yard touchdown, bro. Stiff arming his way into the end zone.
Kirby
Splendid
Joseph.
finish, bro.
He
showed
got Kirby
up.
Joseph out the way, brother. Hey,
He showed up, bro.
but Terry is all raw emotion, man. Like, I mean, Terry loves it here. Terry has been here through the madness, through the dark years. This means a lot to Terry, and Terry's a leader. Like, he's a natural leader. I mean, and just looking at Marshawn, just looking at him like Terry talking that shit. Like Marshawn looking at you like, yeah, you talking that shit right now. And I love that because, you know, those are Ohio State dudes. You know, he knows Terry. That's not fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's shaking his head like, yeah, I know Terry means this. And that's getting everybody else fired up. That's the energy you needed to go up in the Detroit Lions Stadium to do what you needed to do. Like, I heard a lot of talk, like, Peter Schrager. I mean, I love Good Morning Football. You know, I watch that, you know, a lot of mornings when I can catch it. Peter Schrager said that he thought the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings, they expended all of their energy in the Week 18 game and didn't have anything left going into the playoffs. That's why both teams kind of came in flat or the way they did. I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit. Detroit had 2 weeks to get ready for this game in front of a hungry Detroit crowd that was ready to see this team finally do what they needed to do. Like, this is something that Detroit has been waiting for all of their lives. And you mean to tell me that you came out there flat with the biting kneecaps coach? You know, Dan Campbell, they bite kneecaps. They have all the energy. They have all the effort. You know, they're going to fight you. They're going to, you know, kill you. They're going to stab you. They're going to do whatever they do. You needed Terry to come up there and talk to that team the way they talk. If Terry talk like that, I'm listening. Like, I'm ready to run through a wall right now just listening to Terry talk like that. And I just saw it through the expressions of the teammates that were sitting there listening to him. Marshawn shaking his head like, yeah. And look what Marshawn did. Marshawn went out there and had probably his best game since he's been here and on a big stage. I mean, especially after a week where everyone talked about how Marshawn Lattimore got ate up by Mike Evans, in which he did. He had a horrible game. But again, that was his first game in weeks. Marshawn came out there, he balled out. Diami balled out. Everyone went out there, and it took a team effort to do what they did on the road against Detroit with that crowd to kind of punch that team in the mouth and not let them get up. And Terry is one of those guys that can kind of get you going. If Terry talking to you like that, everybody going. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's ready to go. Everybody's ready to run through a wall. And everyone knows that when it comes for Terry, it ain't fake.
Yeah, I mean, I think the clip of Terry is just a insight for more fans to be able to understand the competitor within Terry and also the leadership skills. It's kind of one of the reasons why earlier in the season, before it really kicked off, people were saying, you know, trade Terry McLaurin for Brandon Ayuk, and I was like, I think you guys are forgetting about the leadership ability and also what he means to that team and that dynamic. And the blessing in disguise is going through the trials and tribulations that he has gone through since being a Washington Redskin football team commander. He's seen the lowest of the lows within the NFL ranks, and coming from Ohio State, where you might lose one game and that's it. You might lose 2 games. Coming here and losing a bunch of games, going through the changes at quarterbacks, head coach change, whatever. He sees that opportunity now. The moment is there. They won their first playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and now had an opportunity to go to the conference championship game. And you can see the emotion in him like, yo, I'm finally getting this close in my career, you know? And he takes me as someone that soaks up a bunch of information from his peers, whether they be teammates or other guys amongst the league or even outside of the league, you know, even building a rapport with a Magic Johnson. You understand that these opportunities, these windows are very limited, and you have to seize the moment. And you could tell in that speech, he was trying to galvanize his guys to seize the moment and understand that, you know, this may be the last time we're all together as this unit, but make sure that your name is remembered and that we have an opportunity to continue to build our legacy and become champions. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you have the most money or not, your reputation is everything, and you want champ to be identified as, you know, the first thing they say when they mention your name. You want champion to be mentioned, and that's pretty much what I took from that video. Even if it was 30-40 seconds, I took all that from that video and also the mic up with Bobby Wagner. He identified all of his teammates in that mic up as champ to continue to remind them that they have an opportunity to be a champion. Bobby Wagner is a champion. Zach Ertz is a champion. Before anyone mentions their names, commentating the game or speaking about them in their community, just talking about them in general, they say Super Bowl champ.
Those are all facts, bro. Quick discussion before John comes through. It's about Philly too. Like from our standpoint, how much does Sam Cosmi being out? It was since we last spoke, it's confirmed that he tore his ACL, right? So, how much does Sam Cosmi being out against Philly, from an alarm scale 1 to 5, how much does that alarm you going up against that defensive front against Philly? Excuse me.
I think for me it's a 2. And the only reason why I even give it a 2 is just because at the end of the day you have continuity on that right side of the ball between him and Andrew Wiley, also the center in Biadish. He's also been known to be a leader of the team and especially that offensive line group. But if we keeping it a buck in the matchups they played against Jalen Carter, he didn't win a lot of those reps. So he was getting dogged anyways. So whether he was going to be on the field on Sunday or not, it wasn't going to be the best matchup that you would prefer for Jalen Carter to go against. That's not to say that Trent Scott or whoever they decide to permanently put in that position, because I'm saying that they go in the Super Bowl. So this person is going to be playing right guard for the foreseeable future. Yeah, man, I just think it's one of those opportunities where you have guys being able to step up in those moments. I think you touched on them all with Diami Brown, stepping up in a moment. Trent Scott has been around the league for some time, been able to play left guard, right guard. He's played everything on the O-line except for center. So when he was able to come in, you didn't really see the offense miss a beat. And that's why I gave him an underrated mention on our show on Sunday. I felt like he did an amazing job with what was asked of him. Now, does he have a hard task ahead of him on Sunday, or whoever's going to play right guard? Hell yeah. Jalen Carter is one of the best defensive players in the league already in year 2. So I think it wasn't going to be a favorable matchup either way. Cosmi, Scott, Wiley, Chris Paul, whoever you want to put there. But, I still believe in Jaden Daniels overall to be able to overcome even the pressure that's going to come with Carter being so dominant overall. So it doesn't really bother me. Like I said, 2. Of course, you would like to have everything intact, but I mean, I'm kind of indifferent on Cosmi as a player anyways, but especially against Jalen Carter. I've seen his ass get whooped so many reps. So, yeah.
I'm going to say a 3. And, it's not even sugarcoating it or anything. I mean, this is a battle, especially in the trenches, where we've lost that first game in the trenches, and you want to have every weapon you can have to go into this battle. And Cosmi is a weapon, whether he gets beat by Jalen Carter. Everyone gets beat by Jalen Carter. But when you talk about the drop-off to whoever Sam Cosmi is to the next guy, I don't know who's replacing him this week. I know Trent Scott replaced him this past week because you had Chris Paul on the inactive list. And I don't know if you wanted to go to Michael Dieter. I don't know how they feel about him at this point. But I was actually pleased with Trent Scott's performance. Much better than I'm ever pleased when Trent Scott has to play backup tackle. When you have to put Trent Scott at backup left tackle or backup right tackle, I cringe and I start to worry. And I was watching the game with my son at this point when Trent Scott came in the game. I said, you know what? He might not be so bad at guard. I feel a little bit better at guard because you have more protection at guard than you have at tackle. At tackle, you're more on an Allen. At guard, you can receive a little bit more help. But again, I'm going to go with a 3 because you already know going into this game that you're not going to have Sam Cosmi. Again, I don't know who's replacing him, but now Cliff Kingsbury has to kind of adjust the game plan. Cliff Kingsbury has 7 or actually 8 days in a sense. He had Saturday night all the way up to Sunday coming up to come up with a game plan to kind of, minimize whatever the impact that Cosmi was going to have in this game, to kind of come up with a game plan for Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, those guys on that Eagles defensive line. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to probably have more guys in, max protect, whatever the case may be. But I it's a 3. It's not at a 4 or 5, one of those red or orange alerts. It's at a 3 just because Sam Cosmi is a good dude. He's a big time player, but I do think that Cliff has enough time to come up with a game plan to minimize the effect of losing Sam Cosmi coming into this week.
All right. I know I didn't get my answer. We'll get it. We can spin the block on Thursday, but we do got a guy coming in, John Stolnis. Like I said, of Bleeding Green, SB Nation, the buddies over there on the Philly side of Hogs Haven, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get John in, and let's get a little early preview on them boys in Philadelphia as we get ready for this huge conference title game, man. It's gonna be we ain't never been in no position like this before, man. John, how you feeling, bro? Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, man, we've been doing this for a few years together now, doing previewing these games. I never did I expect the two of us to be talking about Eagles Commanders in a game to go to the Super Bowl. But man, yeah, here we are, and it's a hot ticket. I think I saw this is like the most expensive NFC Championship game ticket in history right now. It's like $1,300 for standing room only in at Lincoln Financial Field right now. So. Man, yeah, this is probably the biggest game these two teams have ever played against each other. I mean, it has to be, right?
The wild card game was the wild card 1990 game was the last big game that these two teams faced. And you probably, John, thought that you will probably see Dallas in this position before you see Washington in this type of position with you all. But with that said, John, like, how do you or the Eagles kind of fan base in a sense view Washington now? Like, do you view the Washington thing as, man, this might be our rivalry coming up for the next few years? Because this is a big thing. The last time we had not the last time, but the thing that kind of kicked off the Dallas rivalry was the 1982 NFC Championship game. So how do you kind of view this from the Philly standpoint with Washington? Like, is the rivalry coming back?
Yeah, I mean, well, it certainly feels like it, and it all comes down to Jaden Daniels, right? I mean, he's the guy who turned this whole thing around. He could be a guy that tortures us for the next 10 years or so. I kind of want to get this one in now while he's a rookie and maybe doesn't know what he, still kind of learning on the job a little bit here. He's more advanced than any rookie quarterback we've ever seen play in this league, but and the things that he's doing are unbelievable. But the way my feeling about the Commanders has evolved throughout this year is pretty incredible. And full disclosure, I live in Northern Virginia. My oldest son is a huge Commanders fan, as is my father-in-law. My other sons are Eagles fans, so I'm raising 2 of them right. One of them, the prodigal son. But it's early in the season, you're like, this kid's kind of fun. This Commanders team's a little spunky. We handled them just fine in Philadelphia, but that was a tight game the whole way. In Washington, we ran out to that big lead, and I felt, yeah, we're the better team, no doubt about it. And I look back at that game, Kenny Pickett having to come in, GJ getting kicked out of that game midway through. And we actually had that game. Like, Jaden Daniels threw an interception with like 4.5 minutes left. And that was the play I thought sealed the game for us. And Devontae Smith drops that pass over the middle, gives Jaden Daniels a second chance, and then he went down and torched us. So I now take these Commanders more seriously than I did. I thought they'd be maybe win the Buccaneers game, and then, hey, great season, something to build on, really incredible. And now, that game against the Lions, I'm not surprised the Lions lost, but I think I am surprised the way the Commanders and Jaden Daniels went into Detroit and the way they won that football game. I mean, he just making big play after big play. He's a scary dude. If there's anything that scares me on Sunday, it's just Jaden Daniels keep doing what he's doing.
Hey, John, man, appreciate you joining us on this monumentous week. Definitely I can sit here and say I've never thought that 2 NFC East foes would be competing in the conference championship to go to the Super Bowl. But with all that said, some pretty significant injuries took place in your Sunday matchup against the Rams in Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell. Going into the Sunday's matchup against the Commanders, which of those two players' injuries concerns you the most, and the effect that it could have in a result going in the opposite favor of the team that you root for? Instead of bleeding green, you might be bleeding burgundy and gold.
Well, we all really do bleed burgundy, right? I mean, that's just the way that's what we're made. But no, I think I'm more concerned about the Jalen injury. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell after the game seemed to say that his shoulder was fine. Maybe that's a young player, a rookie, overselling it a little bit and more wishing. But all indications are both guys will play on Sunday. I think the line of this game moving in the Eagles' favor just kind of points to the fact that most people believe Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell, but specifically Hurts, is going to play. The question is, if Jalen plays, how mobile is he? How much can he move around? Will the designed runs that are normally a staple of this offense for him, will they go away? Will it limit what he can do in the pocket? Will it force him to have to, will it actually, and I look at it, there's a chance that Jalen Hurts being a little bit more limited physically, his mobility being limited, may actually help the passing game a little bit, because so many of his sacks come when he's in the pocket, dancing around, buying time. He thinks he can escape from any situation. And this might force Kellen Moore, Nick Sirianni to draw more quick hitters, more slants, more outs, tight end screens, bubble screens, that kind of stuff that has just not been in the playbook these last couple of weeks. So, and I'm not sure why that is. So it's possible that it could force the passing offense to really hit Jalen Hurts back foot, balls out, as opposed to what we've been seeing with a passing game that's been kind of struggling over these last couple of weeks. But that being said, I'd rather Jalen have his full mobility and be able to run. And we really just don't have any indication yet exactly how good he's going to be, how up for the game he's going to be on Sunday.
Now, John, obviously we got the kind of the glimpse of how the Philly fans or how Philly community is viewing Washington, but from a Philly perspective and just like internal viewing, what's some of the battles that you all are, or the conversations, I wouldn't say battles, the conversations that you all are having about like keys to a win? Like, what's something that y'all need to get right and really hone in on? I mean, obviously we know Saquon, 200 against the Rams. He went crazy against them. The same thing against the Packers. Like, it was a slow burn, but he ended up going off against the Packers. He's the weapon. But like, what's something on both sides of the ball that you're talking about, like for Philly, they really need to lock in on? Because what's also surprising, and I know this is kind of a longer question, but what's surprising is the fact that the Rams did pop off when they were finally down, but they got within a sack. They was a sack away from like having an opportunity to throw that dig route over the middle, and he was wide open. Yeah. Obviously your player, I think it was Jalen. Was it Jalen who made the sack?
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Jalen. Jalen, he made basically the game-winning play.
Yep.
But what's something that's being internally discussed on the Philly side that they really need to lock in on this upcoming week?
Well, I think the fact that the Rams really late in that game discovered that tempo was catching the Eagles short of breath, right? The big key in that last drive was the false start penalty that the Rams took. And I forget the offensive lineman that committed the penalty, but that allowed the Eagles to make a substitution. It pushed the Rams back 5 yards. And actually there was a pass to Nakua that went for about 7 yards on that play that gave him the 3rd and 2. If that false start penalty doesn't happen, they actually probably get a first down on that play. So that false start penalty allowed the Eagles, who are running like a 3-man edge rush substitution right now, they were gassed as the Rams started going tempo at the end of that game. And I know the Commanders have really been picking up and using a lot of tempo, especially against Detroit. Jaden Daniels much more comfortable getting to the line, surveying things, making calls on the run. And the Eagles are going to have to figure out a way to be more ready to face that tempo that Washington, I think, will throw at them, because that's where Jaden Daniels, I think, can really pick them apart. It could really neutralize what the Eagles are able to do up front. That being said, the keys for the Eagles in this game is to continue to get that pass rush up the middle. Jalen Carter should have a significant advantage. I know he's going to be doubled, but he should be able, if he can get pressure up the middle on Jaden Daniels, that's the way to get him off of his rhythm. And so they're going to have to do that. And then the other thing is Saquon Barkley. The Commanders have given up 200 plus rushing yards to the Eagles in each of their 2 games against them. I don't really see a reason why that won't be the same on Sunday. In the second game, they were able to outlast that, and they were able to, they had ball last, and they scored that touchdown. But if the Eagles get another 200 yards against them, I think the Eagles win this game, and it also keeps Jaden Daniels on the sideline if they can have long clock-eating drives like the Eagles can do when their running game is really working.
Can I jump in real quick? What was in the last matchup? What was Saquon Barkley's yards in the second half?
Yeah, no, it was.
I believe, if I'm just off the top of my head, I believe he got shut down pretty much in the second half of that matchup. And the only reason why I bring that up is if Jalen Hurts can't move, you stack the box all day, because he's not an efficient passer of the ball, to be honest with you. And if he has no mobility, you keying in on really stopping one guy and just saying, hey, Jalen Hurts, go out there and be the best quarterback we've ever seen in our entire life.
Right.
To get to the Super Bowl.
And that's a great point. They did, when Kenny Pickett was in the game, there was absolutely no. The Commanders unloaded on Saquon and really did shut him down. I think the problem is that there was not a game plan in place for Kenny Pickett that day. So that was in part, he's trying to run the Jalen Hurts game plan that they had in place, and that was one of the reasons why I don't think they were able to throw the ball as effectively once the Commanders started doing that. I do believe there's a good Eagles passing offense in here somewhere, right? You've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and we know that even when the Rams loaded the box against Saquon Barkley, he was still able to break some runs. I would imagine if the Commanders do that, Saquon still probably will get his in some way. He can be a home run hitter even when they have 7 or 8 guys stacked in the box. So I think that's what the Commanders should really be focusing on. I think they have to really focus in on Saquon and do everything they can. I mean, I would play 2 high safeties. I would do everything I can to keep Saquon from breaking the big one. If he gets a couple of 10-yarders, 12-yarders on you here and there, you live with it. But you can't let him break off the 60, 70-yard runs that totally flip the momentum of the game.
And John, I wanted to ask you, this is something because in the offseason, obviously, our 2 teams made 2 significant trades. One was the draft day trade, in which we obviously traded you all our pick, which you drafted Cooper DeJean, and we drafted Mikey Sanford still with the trade down and Ben Sinnott. But we also made the Jahan Dotson trade. Now, my question to you is, what was kind of a motivation for Philly kind of making a trade for a Jahan Dotson, especially for a 3rd round pick? And why hasn't he been kind of utilized more in the Philly offense?
I think a lot of that is Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts has guys that he trusts. And Jalen is not a guy who goes through his progressions very well. If there's a weakness in his game, he is kind of a first progression, second progression, and then tuck and run, or try and do something else, throw it to the running back out of the backfield. And Dotson is very rarely the first or second target in any kind of pass play here. So he throws to Dotson when he really doesn't have any other choice. I don't think it's anything that Dotson has done or not done necessarily. I mean, A.J. Brown's not getting his here over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, it's just it's the passing game has been weird. It should be a lot better than it has been, but it's been pretty weird. And I think Dotson has been kind of caught up in that. When the Eagles made the trade, they really didn't have a number 3 wide receiver. I mean, it was looking like it was going to be Paris Campbell for a little while there. So they had to make a deal. I didn't love the trade at the time. 3rd round pick I thought was too high. At the end of the day, I think it was too much. But I'm not sure that it was anything Dotson has done or didn't do. I think Jalen Hurts really just doesn't go through his progressions very well. And by the time he gets to Dotson, somebody's in his face or he's already running.
So if I jump in real quick, because you touched on the lack of Jalen Hurts going through his progressions, and you also said that you still have like optimism that there's something there in the passing game. Why do you have that optimism if everything points to the passing game being non-existent?
Well, I look back after the Panthers game when A.J. Brown was asked what the problem is with the offense. And even though they were winning, he's like, the passing game is not good. And they had that whole week of, are Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown not friends anymore? We were really worried about that. But they came out in that Pittsburgh game, and it was as if Kellen Moore just decided, I'm going to put together a totally different offense. And the passing game was phenomenal. A.J. Brown went over 100 yards in that game. We have seen these guys play well together. We've seen Jalen Hurts and Devontae and AJ Brown all be on the same page, and it's really kind of mystifying. I think at the end of the day, they haven't needed it, and Jalen Hurts has really been focused on not turning the ball over. I think the scheme has been really conservative. And I think I think if Kellen Moore goes back and looks at that Pittsburgh game and some of the things that they did earlier in the season when AJ Brown was having some big games, I think there is a way to get these guys schemed open so that Jalen Hurts can make some easy layups. And I think the passing game last week would have been better. AJ Brown dropped a couple of balls. Devontae Smith had a catch that he got crunched by a couple defenders and dropped a ball. So it was a big Dallas Goedert screen pass that got called back. So, I mean, that stuff happens. It's football, but there were some plays there that got left off the field, some meat on the bone. So I think, I've just seen them do it before. It hasn't happened recently, but they haven't really been trying because Saquon has been so dynamic.
My last question for you, John, is revolving around the head coach. Sirianni, what's kind of, I mean, honestly, so here's how I look at it from the outsider's view. Like, there's a lot of bickering about Sirianni. Honestly, there's a lot of bickering about a couple things with the Eagles. But Sirianni, in terms of like how he's perceived, but also like the mess that was last year, and then coming back and really like taking over again in the NFC East. What's the perception surrounding him? But also, like, is this something where, like, what's kind of his tone this week or heading into the game against Washington? Is this, I guess that's the first question, but the second part is, like, is there a sense that there's more pressure or a lot of pressure on Philly going into this game? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I think if Sirianni had lost his first round game, that game in the wild card round against the Packers, I think there would have been questions about his job security, even given how many games he won this year. But I think Sirianni's a guy. I have never been the biggest Sirianni fan. I'll be upfront about it. I was ready to call for him to be fired if they'd lost that Browns game coming out of the bye when they were 2-2 and just didn't look very good. But they've won like 13 out of 14. They're back in the NFC Championship game for the second time in 3 years. He's unorthodox. He can grate on your nerves a little bit. He's a little cocky for my taste. I don't mind that a little bit in a head coach, but I think now he's really established himself as a great head coach, and he doesn't do it the way I would do it. I think he gets conservative at times when he shouldn't be. I question some of his clock management, but I mean, there are a few coaches that you don't have those questions about clock management at certain points during the season. So, I mean, I wrote an article for Bleeding Green Nation this year, a few weeks ago, where I was like, I'm wrong. I was wrong about Nick Sirianni. I think he's a good coach. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Look where this team is. They are the Las Vegas favorites to win the Super Bowl as we sit here right now. So he ride or die with Nick right now. I think that's the feeling in Philadelphia.
John, man, I appreciate you joining us. I want to give you the floor to plug anything and everything that you got going on, boss man.
Yeah, man. Well,
I'm sorry. Prediction too. I'm sorry, because we're not going to hear from you on our show as well.
Yeah.
So before the game again. So
your
prediction.
Do we really need to hear John's prediction?
Hey, yeah. I mean, I don't think we do, but we give everybody.
We're not scared of predictions.
Everybody that comes on.
Everybody that comes on gotta let us know where they at. But you absolutely right. It's two teams left.
Eagles 65. Command. No, I mean, I think this is the Eagles have a bit. They are committed to the bit. You know what I mean? Like I think they're going to pass a little better this week. I think no rookie quarterback has ever won an NFC Championship game before, and maybe Jaden Daniels, he's been setting all kinds of records. He's been doing it all kinds of different ways this year. I do, as an Eagles fan, think the dream ends in Philadelphia. Tremendous year to build on for Washington. I think the Eagles win this thing, and I think it's close. I mean, I think it's a high-scoring game. I think it's Eagles 30, Commanders 26.
Let the people know where they can find you, hear from you, read your work, all that good stuff, boss man.
Yeah, bleedinggreennation.com. And I host a podcast called Eye on the Enemy for the Fan First Sports Network. Jamal's going to be on with me this week on Eye on the Enemy a little bit later in the week. And so that'll pop on Saturday. So yeah, that's where you can catch my stuff.
Here it is. John, man, appreciate you joining us. You stay safe. Take care, boss man.
Appreciate
Thanks, you guys.
you.
Have a good week.
We might have to pay you a visit since you're in the DMV.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Let's do that. You bet.
Yeah. All right, boss man.
All right.
There is John Stolnis. And I think AJ, you made a good point. Like at this point, bro, it's two teams left, bro. It's two teams. We know exactly where everybody's staying, bro. I did reach out, funny enough. I did reach out to some neutral people. So hopefully we could get them on the show. So we can have those conversations about where they think this game actually exists. Like Richard Sherman, bro, that's not a person I reached out to. I don't think we're ever going to get in touch with Richard. Not right now. But he's a person.
Reached out.
He's a person who actually is of the mindset that Washington is going to go into Philly and beat Philly. And it's like it's some people here and there that actually sees this thing coming to fruition, like the team of destiny. And honestly, bro, I don't see any other angle. On this last thing I gotta say, I got ready for the other show. I'm sorry. I don't see any other angle. Like the way the momentum has been building, bro. Washington wasn't supposed to be. Truth be told, like from a perspective standpoint, like of course we know the team because we're local, right? But Washington wasn't supposed to be Tampa, and they wasn't supposed to be Detroit. They beat them both, and then they smoked Detroit. They embarrassed Detroit on the road, embarrassed them. While it was only a 14-point game, you look at the numbers: 5 turnovers, nearly 500 yards. You smoked them. And I think Philly is a bigger dog than both of them. But like, there's nothing to say that you can't do the same thing against these guys, bro.
Look, bro, let me just say, at this point in the playoff, you're in the conference championship game. Anybody can get got at this point. That's what happened to Detroit. Like, you're at this stage of the playoffs. Washington at this point, they're not scared of anybody. Like, Jaden Daniels is now walking into any arena scared of anybody. And the thing about that is Jaden Daniels is probably the best player on the field every time he steps on the field at this point. I mean, now you're going against Philadelphia, but Saquon Barkley is in that conversation. I mean, Saquon Barkley's a beast, but he plays running back. You know, I mean, it's harder when the quarterback is the superstar versus the running back being the superstar. So you, as a Washington fan, I feel good going into this game, to be honest. Now, I'm not overconfident, you know, like those Lions fans were, or even like a lot of Eagles fans are. Like, I just feel good about my team because I know going into this game that we have the best player at the quarterback position. Like, no disrespect to Jalen Hurts, but he's not Jaden Daniels. Like, if you're asking me right now who I'm taking Jaden Daniels every day over Jalen Hurts. And if I feel like I have that advantage at the quarterback position, I feel confident about my team going into this game. So whatever the pundit's saying, and I get it, a lot of those pundits are going to pick Philadelphia. You know, you're going to see those graphics where you're probably only going to see one person pick Washington. And the reason that is because if you pick Philadelphia to win, you know, which a lot of those guys are going to do, it's the common decision. It's the consensus decision. You know, you're not going to look stupid picking them. You know, if Philadelphia goes out there and loses, the only thing those pundits can say is, well, everybody else picked Philadelphia as well, so I don't look stupid. But if you pick Washington to win and they don't win, then you feel like you look stupid if they don't win because you were the only one person to pick them to win. But as a fan that's watched all of these games and this is the third time you're playing against Philadelphia. You've already beat them once. And I know a lot of Philly fans feel like the only reason we won that game is because Kenny Pickett had to play in that game. But no, I mean, at this point in this season, Washington is playing as good a football as anybody at this point. No one had them beating Detroit. Now, you can sit up there and talk about the injuries Detroit had and all of that, but no one talked about that before the game. Like, that wasn't a factor in folks' decision to pick Detroit to win those games or win this game, was those injuries, until after the game. Then people wanted to say, well, you know, Detroit was injured, you know, their defense was injured. But no, I don't want to hear that because you didn't think that was going to happen before the game. So Washington, it's not even house money at this point. At this point is, you're here now. You can go win the motherfucker. So, nobody on Washington's side feel like they can lose. I know no one feels like that. And you feel like you got the best player on the field that's going to step on the field. You feel like you have a great chance. So it is what it is come Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts and ends with quarterback. You know, that's why I preference my question to John in regard to passing game. they haven't been a great passing team overall. I mean, I don't think you're paying two guys $25 million plus to not have to throw the ball. You got to create some type of diversity within your scheme. And with Jalen Hurts not necessarily being the greatest passer, I think you've seen what Joe Witt Jr. did against Jared Goff. He took away his first read, which led to those turnovers happening, which led to the poor play at the quarterback position. Now adding to the fact that, you know, one of Jalen Hurts' superpowers he's going to be without, because he has a pretty significant knee injury. You know, he just fought through. But if he can't be mobile, what do you really have to stop but the run game? Like, yeah, you still got guys on the outside, but if you take away the first read in the passing game, what is he going to do then? Just stay in the pocket and get sacked. So I just think it boils down to the matchup of the quarterback. Do you prefer Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels? I think the consensus that watches the games and can take away their bias, even those that are Eagles fans, know that the better quarterback is Jaden Daniels in every aspect of the game. You know, Thursday we'll get more into our deep dive of the preview, but I think y'all know who we rocking with. And I just think that when you're in this position to be in a conference championship game, anything can happen. A lot of people want to focus on it's never happened before. Well, respectfully, none of those guys have been Jaden Daniels and what he brings to the table. You can say Ben Roethlisberger, you know, solid quarterback.
The top three defense.
Yeah, solid quarterback in the pocket, also could make plays outside the pocket. But Ben Roethlisberger don't run no 4-4 or 4-3. Jaden is already, in my opinion, a better passer than Ben Roethlisberger. And on top of that, Ben had a defense like Dre just mentioned, that was a top 5 defense. If you look at that list of quarterbacks, none of them embody the traits that Jaden Daniels brings to the table. And why can't Jaden be the one to change the dynamic and the perception of that? I mean, we've seen him overcome all the perceptions of a rookie player overall, but yet alone a rookie quarterback. It doesn't exist. Those rules don't apply to JD5.
And that's where we'll end it, ladies and gentlemen. Washington Commanders morning show. I should have said this off the rip, but it's cool. Appreciate everybody who's in here live. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Washington Commanders morning show tomorrow morning. We'll do a little bit of defensive film session. All 32 in that afternoon. Aaron Schatz, who breaks down things from an analytical standpoint, the creator of the DVOA, we'll have a one-on-three conversation with him. Have an interview with him coming out tomorrow.
No, did he?
I said conversation. What's up, bro? You tried it, bro. But nah, we're gonna have a conversation.
1-on-3. I said, oh nah.
We're gonna have a conversation with him. That is a little crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you. We're gonna have a conversation with him to kind of break things down and see from a data standpoint just how crazy Washington's run is. And then obviously we'll be back Thursday with the game preview. So without further ado, y'all enjoy your evening. We're up out here. Hey, all talk, relax, bro. Peace. Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down.
Damn, set, watch him throw the ball. Man. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.